Hello, and welcome to the Wanskuck Weekly Storytime. I'm Abby, the Youth Services Librarian here at the library, and this week we'll be reading Butterflies for Kiri by Cathryn Falwell. Butterflies for Kiri by Cathryn Falwell. Kiri loved to draw and paint and make things. On Kiri's birthday, Auntie Lou sent a special gift. It had a purple paper butterfly perched on the top. Inside was a package of colored paper squares and a book called Origami, the Art of Paper Folding. The book showed how to fold the papers into wonderful things. There was a turtle, a boat, a bird, and a butterfly, just like the one Auntie Lou had made for Kiri's package. Kiri gently slid the beautiful papers from the package. She spread them out like a rainbow. Purples, pinks, blues, greens, yellows, oranges, and reds. Kiri ran her fingers softly over the papers. They were as thin as butterfly wings. Kiri opened the origami book and looked at the drawings inside. The book had diagrams that showed how to do each step. There were fold arrows and unfold arrows. There were valley fold lines that folded forward and mountain fold lines that folded backward. Fold crisply, the book said. Crease sharply. Kiri looked at Auntie Lou's butterfly. It had crisp folds just like the ones in the book. Kiri studied the diagrams. There were 15 steps to make a butterfly. Kiri chose a sheet of bright purple paper that matched Auntie Lou's butterfly. Then she looked at the first diagram and carefully folded her paper the same way, corner to corner, with a crisp, neat crease. Kiri looked at the next step and folded her paper in half again. For the next step, all the corners had to meet in the center. Kiri folded her paper, but the corners didn't match up. She tried again, but it was hard to get the folds just right, and the old creases still showed. Kiri tried the next step, but the thin purple paper tore a little along an old crease line. Her beautiful paper, a tear ran down her cheek. Wiping her eyes, Kiri tried the next fold. The paper tore again. "It's ruined," Kiri cried. She wanted to start over, but she was afraid of tearing another sheet. Sadly, she gathered up the rest of the papers and slid them safely back into the package. The next day, Kiri carefully slid the origami papers from the package and spread them out like a rainbow. Purples, pinks, blues, greens, yellows, oranges, and reds. The colors danced before her eyes. Kiri wanted to try folding a butterfly again, but she didn't want to ruin another sheet of the beautiful papers. She took a piece of notebook paper and cut it into a square. Kiri wanted to try folding a butterfly again, but she didn't want to ruin another sheet of the beautiful papers. She took a piece of notebook paper and cut it into a square. Then very carefully, Kiri followed the steps in the origami book. This time, she got to the 9th step before the paper tore. Some days after school, Kiri made chalk drawings. Other days she painted or made things with clay. And every day she practiced making origami butterflies. One Saturday morning, Kiri went to the park to play. It was a perfect spring day. She went high on a swing and saw the bright blue sky and new green grass. Pink petals from the trees blew gently in the breeze. Kiri skipped by the bright red and purple tulips, shining up from the garden on her way home. A yellow butterfly fluttered around the flowers. The colors danced before Kiri's eyes. She couldn't wait to get home to make a picture. Quickly, Kiri got out her watercolor paints, a brush, a jar of water, and a big sheet of paper. She dipped the brush into the water and then into the blue paint. With long strokes, she painted the bright sky. She rinsed her brush and dipped it into the green paint. Slowly and carefully, Kiri painted the spring grass. Kiri rinsed her brush again, and this time she chose the red of the tulips. But as soon as her brush touched the grass, the red paint leaked into the wet green and made a muddy puddle. Kiri tried to scrub away the spot, but the paper got soggy and began to shred. "It's terrible," Kiri cried. Mama came into the kitchen. "I see the spring colors from the park," Mama said. "What a nice picture." "No, it's ruined," Kiri sobbed. Kiri ran to her room. She was about to fling herself onto her bed when she saw the package of origami papers. Carefully, she spread out the colors like a rainbow: purples, pinks, blues, greens, yellows, oranges, and reds. There was the bright red of the tulip she had tried to paint. Kiri took her scissors and cut a shape from the corner of the red paper. Then she took everything to the kitchen. The red paper tulip looked perfect on her painting. Kiri smiled and glued the shape over the muddy spot. Scraps of purple, pink, blue, green, orange, and red floated onto the table as Kiri cut more and more shapes to add to her picture. The colors began to dance. Kiri looked over her colored papers again and chose a bright yellow square. She took a deep breath and folded it into a beautiful butterfly. And at the back of the book, we have lovely instructions on how to make an origami butterfly for yourself. The end. For our craft this week, we'll have two options for our crafts. One that's for everyone, and one that's a little more advanced. Kiri in the book makes an origami butterfly, which we'll try as our more challenging craft. But because that can take a little bit of practice, we're also going to make a simpler butterfly out of paper so that everyone can try making a butterfly, even without the practice that origami sometimes takes. So first, for our simpler butterfly, you'll need 2 pieces of construction paper, one a little bit bigger, one a little bit smaller. All I did was just took 1 piece of construction paper and cut it into 2 pieces. And then the other thing you'll need is a pipe cleaner. You can pick whatever colors you want. I decided to go with blue and purple, but any colors work. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to take your larger piece of paper and you're going to do an accordion fold, which just means you fold one way, then the other. Once you're all set, we're going to do the same thing with the smaller piece of paper. Just an accordion fold all the way across. Once they're both nice and folded, you're going to take your bigger piece and you're going to pinch it right about in the middle. So it'll look like a piece of bow tie pasta. And you'll do the same with the smaller piece. And you'll line up the 2 parts and hold it just like that. If you want your butterfly to be a little bit tougher, you can always glue these two pieces together, but you do not need to. Then I'm going to take our pipe cleaner and we're going to wrap it around once, leaving a little bit of extra room. And then when I bring it back to the front, I'm going to twist our antennas together so that our butterfly stays together and we have our nice purple antennas. And our butterfly is all finished. If you'd like more of a challenge, you can follow along with the origami instructions at the end of the book, which I'm going to follow right here. So I'm going to get my square of paper, I'm going to fold it in half, and then fold it in half again. And then when we unfold, we have that nice X right in the middle. And we're going to fold all the corners towards the center. And it's okay if your butterfly is not perfect or if it takes you a couple tries. Sometimes it's something like origami that's a little bit tricky. It can take a couple times to get it right. Just like Kiri in the book, sometimes we all need a little bit of practice. We're going to unfold it again. We're going to fold all the sides in towards the center. And we're going to fold the top and bottom towards the center. It should look like this, where you can see is the fold along the middle, and there's the X in our creases. We're going to carefully pull out the inside corners. And you might just make sure to take your time when you're pulling out the corners. Sometimes if your creases weren't quite deep enough, it might not want to sit perfectly. You can see one of my folds is a little bit messed up, so it doesn't quite want to sit just flat, which is why this is a little bit more of a challenge. I'm going to press it flat and fold up the top corners. So at this point, it might not want to sit perfectly flat, but your folds should look a little bit like this. Then I'm going to turn it over and fold down the top. And we're going to fold the whole thing in half crease it right along that edge. And we're going to make a little diagonal fold. And do the same on the other side. And there we have our finished butterfly. Thank you so much for joining us for our story time this week. Be sure to tune in next week when we read Touch the Brightest Star by Christy Matheson. Thank you. Bye.